All right, let's go through our AEW Dynamite Winter is Coming results. Shocking, one of the best AEW shows of all time. Even better than a pay-per-view, but let's get right into it. So we're live from Daly's Place in Jacksonville, Florida. First up, we had the Dynamite Diamond Battle Royale. Bunch of wrestlers in there. Now, they didn't really announce this before, but they announced it during the match that the two finishers of the match will take on each other on next week's AEW Dynamite. Big finish, Miro. I thought he was going to be a winner there, going after it with Wardlow. But winners, MJF and Orange Cassidy. And I gave this grade a 4.0. This was a good match, a little sloppy at times, but Miro, just unique, different way of doing some of these battle royales. I mean, you had the Inner Circle guys teaming together. Then you thought maybe Jungle Boy would have a shot, but then all of a sudden you realize Orange Cassidy was out of the picture. But this was a fun match, and it was a great way to start off the show. And they basically the show started, and everybody just jumped in the ring, and we were off to the races. Next up, we had Chris Jericho versus Frankie Kazarian. Jericho was having some kind of problems with his belt in the beginning. It was kind of weird to kind of get things going, but finally they got the match going. MJF was going to throw in the towel at one point, but didn't. And I think that kind of got botched up a little bit. It was just kind of a little awkward thing. Chris Jericho is the winner. I'm not shocked there. A grade of 3.75. The big sticking point afterwards was Chris Jericho saying if the Inner Circle might break up, and we'll find out next week because they were all infighting. It'll be interesting if the Inner Circle goes away, but I think it could start to go downhill with MJF here. There's definitely something in the works with Inner Circle. And Chris Jericho, love him to death. He's been a superstar for AEW and a big reason why of part of their success, but his in-ring game is really just coming to an end, and he looks out of shape. I know he has said in the past, like, oh, well, I'm just doing that to look like the common man. Come on, man. Really? Really? You got to be leaner if you're going to take this kind of pounding. So I just think that his days are kind of, and him and Matt Hardy are two guys that, like, I appreciate you, especially Matt Hardy. I'm like, but you're just kind of old and crankly, and well, I don't think we need you as much anymore. I mean, Chris Jericho absolutely should stay on commentary, but a guy like Matt Hardy, I'm like, I was excited about it. I'm not sure what he brings to the table, but I'm kind of like, I don't know if we really need him right this second. The Young Bucks check in, and we're going to get a matchup next week. We got TH2. The Acclaim came in and crashed a little party with a little rap. If you've checked out The Acclaim, you can check them out on AEW Dark. They came in, and we're going to get a TH2 versus the Young Bucks next week. Dr. Britt Baker versus Layla Hirsch. I learned a lot about her. She's, according to Jim Ross, she is 4'11", but she's a little powerhouse from Russia. Apparently, she was adopted at 8 years old. She was a New Jersey championship amateur wrestler, all sorts of stuff. So she put on, this was a good match. Dr. Britt Baker, though, gets the win. I give this a 3.5. Again, women's matches are doing much, much better. And I think Layla definitely has a place in AEW in the future. After the match, Thunder Rosa comes out and starting to do beating up Britt Baker. Are we going to see Thunder Rosa and Britt Baker on AEW television or potentially somewhere else? We'll get into that in a little bit. Tag match, Darby Allin and Cody Rhodes versus Powerhouse Hobbs and Ricky Starks. Winner, Darby Allin and Cody Rhodes. I gave this a 3.75. This was an okay match. I kind of stepped out of the room for a minute, so I didn't get to see a lot of it. But it was still a good match. But the main thing, at the end of the match, and this was done. I mean, we had all these matches in by like almost 9 o'clock. And I was like, whoa, so they're really going to go late with Kenny Omega, John Moxley match. I was like, oh, okay, they're going to go the full 60 minutes. But there was a reason why they kind of front-loaded everything. It's because Sting, that's right, Sting has arrived in All Elite Wrestling. Sting is here. We've talked about it many times. We've done videos on the potential of Sting coming. We'll have full coverage on Pro Wrestling News Hub. Definitely shocking news, and this is one of the signings. If not, I mean, Miro was good because he wasn't being used and can bring over the current WWE audience. Sting is that middle ground guy that, between the Arn Andersons and the Chris Jerichos, Matt Hardys, is Sting, and I think I'm very curious to see what he has to say. AEW says it's a multi-year deal, so he is not going anywhere. This is not just like a one-off or just making a couple of appearances. No, they're in the long haul with Sting. And I think out of anybody that you could bring in, forget Goldberg, I mean, maybe Goldberg and Sting. I don't really know who. I mean, The Rock, Stone Cold Steve Austin, Kurt Angle, maybe. But I think out of all that list, I mean, Sting is the top of that list. And they had it, and I've complained about this in the past. They had Sting and The Undertaker. They should have pulled the trigger. But no, Triple H had to get involved. And I'm so glad I'm not dealing with WWE garbage anymore, because it should have been Sting on Undertaker or WrestleMania, and they screwed it. They screwed it with a stupid angle. Just give us that's what everybody fans wanted. But no, Triple H was like, no, how about I got a great idea. Let's just put me in with whatever's hot. Like Triple H, let's put me in with CM Punk. Let's put me in with Daniel Bryan when he's making a big run. So I'm excited to have Sting in AEW. There's no doubt about that. That's going to be a lot of fun over the course of the next couple weeks as what we get going on with Sting. Finally, we get the big championship match, Jon Moxley versus Kenneth Omega. You knew they were going to go long. Lots of action in this one. This was a great match. It sucks with the commercials, and that was the one problem with commercials or picture-in-picture that you don't get when you're getting a pay-per-view. It's like you can get it straight through so that kind of like breaks it up for me a little bit. Winner and your new AEW champion, Kenny Omega, gave this one a 4.25. This, of course, was the elite match of the night. Kenny Omega should be the new AEW champion. Jon Moxley had a great run. He beat everybody. There's no need to keep the belt on him any longer. It's time to let his wife, Renee Young Paquette, whatever her real name is, to go, have a kid, and he can take some time off and heal up and let these guys do their thing for a little bit. So excited for, I think part of the reason too with her pregnancy is, you don't really want him to get COVID, even though she had it. You know what I mean? So maybe we get a little break from Jon Moxley, which is fine. I'm not really sure where his character is going to go next. That's really an open book, but Kenny Omega is your winner. And then the biggest shock of the night was after the match, Kenny Omega and Don Callis from Impact Wrestling, who was there because they were friends, and they had teased this before. Remember, Callis and Omega were paired up a little while ago with Impact Wrestling. Gives us one of the most shocking endings. Kenny Omega wins the championship, and Omega and Don Callis leave with the belt, and we are going to find out what happened, not on next Wednesday, but on Tuesday, on Impact Wrestling. What a twist. Never seen anything like this. The only thing I could think of was when Shane McMahon showed up on WCW as a kind of this is crazy moment. I'm absolutely going to tune in to Impact Wrestling. Some of you don't know this, but a little history about me. I used to own Impact Wrestling domain name and sold it to Impact Wrestling when it was TNA Wrestling. So I have a little connection with my little folklore in pro wrestling world. So yes, Impact Wrestling got their name from me. I could tell that story one day, maybe if you ask about how all that went down, because all the players that were involved in that are probably no longer there. So I think I can talk about it now. So other than that, fantastic best show of the year on AEW Dynamite. So much fun to watch, and I hope you guys enjoyed it too. And I'm super excited about what's going to happen on Impact Wrestling and super excited what's going to happen on AEW Dynamite. Card for next week's AEW Dynamite. Winter is coming. Fallout, the main thing. Sting speaks. What does he have to say? That in itself is a home run for a TV show. Totally going to bring in the audience. I'm so curious about not only how this week's ratings will do, but absolutely next week's. Now that fans actually know that Sting is there and are going to want to hear from him, you're bringing in those WCW guys. We know Sting is not going to get in the ring, but we'll see how he's paired and what they do with him. Tony Khan and others have been very creative when it comes to stuff. I'm really curious if they take this Sting thing to a different level. I think out of any kind of old dudes, this is it. I don't think you need to add any more. Sting was the one out there that I really think can draw an audience, and excited to have him in AEW. We get a singles match, Abaddon versus somebody to be determined. Good to see her back. My guess, maybe Red Velvet or Kaylen King as two people that might. They've just been wrestling on Dark a lot, so maybe leading up for Abaddon. Tag match. We get Lance Archer and the Lucha Brothers versus Eddie Kingston and Butcher and the Blade. Not really sure what this is all about. I guess because now Pac maybe went back to the UK for a while. And now Lance Archer. And I had mentioned that, I think, in a previous episode, that potentially Lance Archer just kind of fills in for Pac as travel things continue over the next couple weeks. We get an Inner Circle ultimatum. What's going to happen with the Inner Circle? This is still good television, still I think you'll get some kind of like Sammy Guevara, MJF type match going on. You're going to have Jake Hager and you're going to have Wardlow too. We'll see how this goes down. I'm sure this is going to be strung out. It's just not going to be a quick end to this group. But actually, I mean, do we need Inner Circle by the time summer kicks around? I think not. There's some other factions growing. This is still the top faction in AEW. I'm not really sure where they're going to go with this, but it'll be fun to watch as it all goes down. Singles match, Dustin Rhodes versus Press 10 Vance from Dark Order. This was just kind of like thrown in there. I was like, okay, random. Not really sure what the deal is with that, but okay. Maybe getting Dustin a win. I could think of other two wrestlers that, like Miro, for example, to have a match that I'd be more interested in. Then we get the Young Bucks, Matt and Nick Jackson versus Hybrid 2, Angelico and Jack Evans. Looking forward to this match. Young Bucks have been great, having great matches all year. Hybrid 2 now is finally getting to elevated a little bit in that tag team stuff. We also get MJF versus Orange Cassidy for the Dynamite Diamond finale to find out who is going to win who's going to get to carry that diamond ring. I don't see Orange Cassidy carrying that around all the time because he just doesn't care that it means a lot to MJF. So I have a feeling MJF might keep that ring. But we'll find out about that. I believe FTR is also going to have a match as well. They're going to return also next week. So it should be a great week for AEW Dynamite. Let's quickly run down AEW Dark Results. We got Shawn Spears defeating KTB. Ricky Starks defeated Damian Fearer. Brandon Cutler gets another win, defeating Danny Limelight. Pretty Peter Avalon defeated John Cruz. Shanna defeated Tesha Price. She returns from a long hiatus. I believe they said she's from France, and now she's back on AEW TV. Kaylen King defeated Catalina Perez. Best friends Chuck Taylor and Trent defeated Adam Priest and Sean Maluta. Leva Bates defeated Alex Gracia. I'm not really sure what's going on with Leva. They're starting to use her. They didn't use her during the pandemic era. The Gun Club, Billy, Austin, and Colton defeated Angel Fashion, Sean Donovan, and VSK. Matt Sydal defeated Aaron Solo. Dark Order, Evil Uno, and Stu Grayson defeated Baron Black and Fuego del Sol, one of our favorite dark guys here at Pro Wrestling News Hub. Brian Pillman Jr. and Griff Garrison defeat Cesar Bonani and Resin. I keep saying it wrong. Whatever it is. Evil East defeated Lindsay Snow. The Acclaimed Anthony Bowens and Matt Caster defeated Bobby Wayward and George South Jr. Chaos Project, Luther and Serpentico defeated Alex Chamberlain and Seth Garces. Finally, Red Velvet defeated Lady Frost. Jurassic Express, Jungle Boy and Luchasaurus defeated Dark Order, Alan Angels, and Preston Vance, and Joey Janela and Sonny Kiss in a 3-way tag match. And that concludes your AEW Dark for this week.